sprawling new structure is rising within the heavily guarded grounds of State House in Nairobi, Kenya. A church estimated to cost a staggering 1.2 billion Kenyan shilling. This isn't just any place of worship, it's a grand 8,000-seat sanctuary, complete with 4 rows of pews and towering crosses at its front and back. Being built right at the heart of the president's official residence, the project, tied to President William Ruto's public devotion to his Christian faith, has ignited a firestorm of controversy across the nation. Questions swirl: who is paying for it? Why build it now? And what does it mean for the separation of church and state in Kenya? The story begins with whispers of construction at State House, a place synonymous with power and prestige. Reports emerged in early 2025 about a massive church taking shape, designed to accommodate thousands of worshippers in a single sitting. The structure, still shrouded in secrecy, is said to feature a modern design with a prominent cross at the entrance and another at the altar, symbolizing Ruto's outspoken commitment to his faith. In a church service earlier this year, Ruto hinted at the project, saying he wanted a place of worship to affirm his beliefs, but what seemed like a personal spiritual endeavor quickly became a national talking point.
Mambo ya afya wanaipinga. Sasa mimi nauliza, hii pepo chafu, nafikiri hata imefika wanapinga hata matoleo kanisani. Jameni.
The price tag 1.2 billion Kenyan shilling has raised eyebrows. That's enough to build schools, equip hospitals, or address countless other pressing needs in a country grappling with economic challenges. Critics argue the project is an extravagant misuse of resources, especially when Kenya's education and healthcare sectors are crying out for funding. For context, some rural schools lack basic facilities like desks or roofs, and public hospitals often face shortages of essential supplies. The contrast is stark and is fueling public anger.
This culture of lies, unkept promises, and misplaced priorities is unacceptable and needs to be dealt with.
We advise, as the clergy, the president, if possible, to avoid making more promises at this time, and instead focus in prioritizing flagship projects.
But the cost isn't the only concern. The church location within State House raises serious constitutional questions. Kenya's constitution emphasizes the separation of church and state, and building a place of worship on government property blurs that line. Legal experts and citizens alike are asking, is this a personal project or is it a state-sponsored initiative? If it is the latter, are taxpayers footing the bill? So far, Ruto's administration has remained tight-lipped, offering no official confirmation or detailed explanation about the funding. Adding fuel to the fire, the church isn't the only costly project at State House. Ongoing renovation to the presidential residence are reportedly costing an additional 890 million Kenyan shilling. Together, these projects paint a picture of significant spending at a time when many Kenyans are struggling to make ends meet. The secrecy surrounding both the church and the renovations has only deepened public skepticism. Why the lack of transparency, and why prioritize a church over more urgent national needs?
We know that Kenyans are suffering now and people are being asked to tighten their belts. The first belt that must be tightened is State House. And I think we are spending too much money beautifying State House, which can wait until times are better.
Do you think it's really practically realistic that we can able to achieve the 100% completion under the specified time frame?
The Honorable Ambassador Segei mentioned the State House Mombasa. If you visit, to some extent it was even condemned by other government agencies that it is not really habitable. The building is not a flat roof. Actually, the roof itself, the way it was, it's still there. Because as much as we say, let us not spend public resources, we should also not really, lose the face of a country that says is a power nation in the region.
Social media, particularly on platforms like X, has become a battleground for opinions. Posts highlight the outrage, with users pointing out 1.2 billion Kenyan shilling could transform underfunded schools or save lives in hospitals. One user wrote, as I quote, "While kids study under trees, State House builds a mega church. Priorities." Others speculate about Ruto's motives, with some suggesting the project signals his intent to solidify his political base or even extend his tenure beyond 2027. Defenders of the project argue it reflects Ruto's personal faith and could serve as a symbol of unity for Kenya's Christian majority. They point out that State House already has a small chapel and a larger worship space could host national prayer events, but even these arguments are met with skepticism, as critics question why such a facility needs to be built at State House rather than in a public or private space elsewhere. As the church takes shape, the questions keep piling up. Will Ruto clarify the funding and purpose of the project? Will it deepen divisions or become a rallying point for his supporters? And what does it mean for Kenya's commitment to secular governance? The answers remain elusive, but one thing is clear. 1.2 billion Kenyan shilling church is more than just a building. It's a lighting rod for debate about faith, power, and priorities in Kenya. The controversy shows no sign of slowing down. As construction continues, so does the public demand for transparency. Is this a genuine act of devotion or a calculated move in Ruto's political playbook? Only time will tell. For now, the State House Church stands as a symbol of a nation at a crossroads, wrestling with questions of governance, accountability, and the role of faith in public life. For Maisha TV, I'm William Juma.